There was so little time to react. Ogg tackled Lieutenant Carter to the ground, shielding him with his body, just as he was trained.
Ogg, what are you...
A massive blast tore through the Grox box. Most of the other Ogryn and their minders were just beginning to react to the rumble of explosions outside when the mining charges detonated. Ogg felt like he'd been hit by a Taurox. Rockcrete shrapnel tore through the restaurant and shredded the Ogryn's nice shirt with the buttons and embedded huge chunks of debris into his flesh. Worst of all the lights went out. Ogg opened his mouth to speak, but he could only hack and cough as his lungs were filled with dust and ash. Ogg could hear other voices too. Some were coughing like him. Others were wailing. Some Ogryns were trying to find their friends. Others were terrified of the dark. Still others had found their friends and discovered that they were not moving. Ogg could feel something wet running down his back. He could also feel something wiggling underneath him. Lieutenant Carter! He was alive!
Sir, Lieutenant Carter?
Ogg! We need to get out of here! Emperor, save us! Get the other Ogryns out of here!
Everybody out! Follow me!
Ogg and Lieutenant Carter managed to get to their feet, the officer pressing a cloth over his mouth to help with the dust. The Ogryn was in pain, but it was a feeling he was used to. They were fortunate that much of the Titan district was built like a military-grade bunker to withstand the wear and tear from the enormous patrons that frequented those places. Otherwise, the Grox box would have been completely collapsed. Still, there were many dead. Ogg found Sam, but he wasn't moving. Ogg tried to lift the other Ogryn to his feet, but Sam's body went slack. He's dead, Ogg. We need to focus on the living. Ogg sadly set Sam down and hoped he was happy living with the Emperor in his golden palace. Many were dead. Many others were injured. Larry had a nasty gash in his thigh that caused him to limp. Dingus was battered and bleeding, but he seemed more or less okay. Many of the Ogryns were panicking, but Ogg was a bonehead. He knew how to give orders.
If you're not dead, get up and go outside where it's not dark. If you can't get up, yell. If you're dead, well, your fallen will always be remembered as the Emperor's finest.
It took a while, but with Lieutenant Carter's help and the help of the able-bodied Ogryns, they were able to get most everyone out who was still alive. Besides Lieutenant Carter, all of the human officers had been killed in the blast. Many of the Ogryns perished as well. When they stumbled out into the streets, there were about a dozen of them. All were battered and bleeding, some worse than others. Half could stand and walk. The others were unable to move very far on their own. When the survivors were clear of the rubble of the restaurant, they saw that the city had gone black. The lights in the district were out. The sounds of guns and explosions echoed through the streets of Polis. Ogg could see searchlights sweeping back and forth as something moved through the night towards them. Ogg could hear words echoing through the streets over a megavoxcaster.
The scrap revolution has arrived. Freedom has arrived. It is through the mercy and wisdom of the Tin King that we will all be remade, and the corruption of Governor Rast shall be swept away. Take up arms. Rise up, you lowest of the low. Rise up and tear down the proud and mighty.
Ogg could see movement in the distance. The bobbing, sweeping lights were mounted on shifting, clanking bipedal machines. Those are drill suits, likely stolen from the pressure mines.
Let's smash 'em!
Ogg, we have no weapons, and we have many wounded. We can't just start a fight. We need to get the other Ogryn to a safe place where they can get medical attention. There's a hospital not far away. If it's still standing, they will have their own power generators. They'll have light. There will be light. And we can get the boys patched up. The drill-suited rebels were still a few blocks away. Despite the darkness, Ogg could see muzzle flashes as a skirmish broke out with the drill suits. They appeared to be modified to carry heavy bolters as they raked over a PDF unit? An Arbite squad. Ogg couldn't tell in the darkness, but Lieutenant Carter was right. Ogryns were good at fighting, but not when they were all hurt, and not without the Emperor's guns. Each of the able-bodied Ogryns helped to lift their wounded comrades as they began hobbling towards the hospital. We need to get off the roads. They'll see us. This way! Lieutenant Carter took the lead down a narrow alleyway. It was a little cramped for the Ogryns, who struggled to fit through while hauling their brethren. Suddenly, another explosion shook the ground as a wall of the warehouse on their left exploded, sending rocks and debris everywhere. The blast was far enough ahead that nobody was harmed. But a group of masked men, armed with las and auto guns, scrambled out of the hole. One of them carried a rocket launcher. They saw the Ogryn mob, and their leader stepped forward.
Greetings, simple brothers. The tyranny of Governor Rast has been hardest on your kind, as you have been forced into the meanest labor. Rise up and seize your freedom with us.
The Ogryns said nothing, unsure of what the funny-looking man was saying.
Tin King good, Rast man bad. We give Ogryns lots of good food.
Lieutenant Carter was struggling to find his words. The junior officer was in way over his head. Ogg folded his arms in defiance.
No, you bad. You killed and hurt my friends. Emperor good, Tin King bad. Unfortunate that they have so enslaved your mind that you will not seize freedom when it is handed to you. For that, you must die. For the revolution. For the Tin King.
No man do they call me. My mother and my father, and all my comrades as well. Thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Ogg the Ogryn Returns. If you enjoyed what you heard, please leave a like and comment, as that will ensure that the Tin King is smashed to pieces and doesn't hurt anyone else. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so in order to hear more stories about the best boys trying to do their best to save their friends and serve the Emperor. If you would like to support me, you can do so via PayPal or Patreon. Both of those will be linked below. And if you have absolutely no idea what's going on, you can click on the playlist to start the story from the beginning, and that should be appearing on screen right now. The original Ogg the Ogryn series is also linked below in the description. Thank you all once again for listening. No Man out.